Hello! Today is definitely not going to be my usual recipe video where I just show you a recipe, takes 5 minutes, and poof, it's done. Full disclosure, you are going to get to see a day in my life where my ADHD was fully on display. I really wanted to make chocolate chip muffins, and I do. The recipe is in this video, but first I had to clean up my kitchen a bit. I had been really sick, so my normal routine had been completely disrupted and my house was just simply beginning to overtake me. So the first order of business was getting my kitchen cleaned up. If this is the first time we are meeting, welcome. My name is Jamie and I make videos related to cooking, cleaning, and home organization. My sweet husband came home early to help keep me company and help keep up with our little kiddo. Earlier in the day, Kiddo and I had made homemade brookies, which if you don't know, it is a brownie with chocolate chip cookies on top, and it is so good, but so rich. Hubby took a piece, but I saw him sneaking some more later, so I definitely know that he was on board with the brookie train. I don't know about you, but in our house, dishes are just a never-ending process. I swear, it doesn't matter if I do dishes after every meal or do them 20 times a day in between meals. I feel like they're never-ending. And here I went to wash my cutting board and I noticed that there was something weird on my sink, so I decided to just go ahead and completely scrub down my sink before washing my cutting board. Because I don't like washing dishes, obviously in a dirty sink, and my cutting board can't go in the dishwasher because it's a bamboo cutting board, so I just scrub down the sink real quickly with Dawn. If you don't use Dawn dish soap to clean your sink, you are really missing out. It cleans it so well. I think I was using just my Scrub Daddy that day, but sometimes I'll use, a scrubbing pad or something if there's extra hard, cruddy stuff on there. Like, my child is forever dropping shredded cheese in my sink, and if I don't catch it, it hardens and just sticks on, and man, my Scrub Daddy takes that right off, and I love it. I had chopped onions on the cutting board, and I swear the onions just soaked into the cutting board. That's why I was smelling it. It is definitely clean, but it will forever smell like onions. So if you guys have any good tips to get that onion smell out of my wood cutting board, I would greatly appreciate it. As you can see in the background, I actually have a brand new one back there because I'm just going to make this one like my onion cutting board, and then use the brand new one for everything else because I just cannot get that onion smell out of that wood cutting board. So of course, as I was trying to clean up, Kiddo decided he would not survive without a chili cheese dog. And here is where the spiral really kind of kicks in for me. So let's watch the fun as I make everything but the muffins before I get back on track. Again, I had been really sick, and so everything just smelled off to me. That's why I was really checking that bun, because it didn't smell right. But when I looked at it, it was perfectly fine. It was well within date. It was still soft. There was nothing growing on it. But I I think it's because, I don't know if it was all the decongestants or what, but just everything smelled off on this day. So you'll have to ignore me smelling literally everything.
We'll be singing all the melodies until the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories. Oh, and I've been longing to hold you close.
My kiddo loves chili cheese dogs, but there is only one kind of chili that he likes. And our store doesn't always carry it, so when they do have it in stock, I try and buy a couple at a time so that I always have it. I'm still trying to get the recipe right to make it by hand.
Yes, these are the good times with you. Don't even care what we do if I spend it with you. Just you and nobody else. It's so good to see you again, to see you again. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire, chill.
So we are starting to make progress. I'm getting the dishes squared away from the hot dog. And then I turned around and I noticed my basil needed tending. If you don't have an arrow garden, you are missing out. My sister actually got this for my son as a homeschool project, and he has really, really enjoyed watching the plants grow. But man, they will overtake you if you're not careful. We've got tomatoes, 2 different kinds of basil, parsley and thyme growing in it right now. So here I am just chopping a little bit of basil and to get ready to dry. Then once I get that all dried, then I chop it up and store it so that, I can use it later. Now, as I dropped off the basil, I noticed that I had forgotten to process some turnips that I had gotten. I wanted to get them in the freezer. And turnips really, at least in my area, don't stay good for very long. So when I buy them, I either try to use them that same day or I try and get them in the freezer. And in this case, I wanted to get them in the freezer. While I saw the turnips, I also saw the onions. But at least I'm making progress because I've now got the bananas at least out to get ready to make banana chocolate chip muffins. So I had to grab my big Dutch oven to get some water boiling. It takes forever for water to boil in that, but man, do I love this pot. And I'm gonna be honest here, I'm not really sure why I decided at this exact moment that bacon needed to be baked, but evidently I decided in this moment that I needed to make some bacon. I don't even know why I made bacon because we weren't going to be using it that day, so I'm really not sure why I got the pans ready to make bacon, but I did. Now, when you want to freeze turnips, they're kind of like potatoes. You need to blanch them first for a couple of minutes, which is where the boiling water comes into play. So I'm going to peel them, then dice them, and then put them in a pot of boiling water. We like turnips as a replacement for potatoes. I know a lot of times people will go, oh no, use cauliflower for a replacement for potatoes, and you can. In fact, the turnips are actually part of the cauliflower family, I believe, but they more closely resemble potatoes. And so if you're making mashed potatoes, you can make mashed turnips and they taste fine. If you're making fried potatoes, you can make fried turnips. There's lots of things you can do with turnips, and a lot of times you really can't tell the difference. I can definitely tell the difference between a potato and cauliflower, even if people say, no, if you cook it right, you can't. I can. But turnips are the closest replacement to potatoes that I have found for times when I need a lower carb meal. Because even though I love my carbs, I do try to keep them lower carb at times. So into the boiling pot, these tasty diced turnips are going to go for 2 minutes before they take a nice ice bath, which is what I have in that stainless steel bowl over there. I'll boil them for 2 minutes and then dump them over in the bowl to stop the cooking process. And then once they are completely cooled down, I bag them up into freezer bags. In this case, I did 2.5 cups. I think the freezer bags say 1 cup on them, but I was grossly mistaken with how many diced turnips I made. So it actually turned out each bag had about 2.5 cups in them, which is totally fine because we will definitely be using them. In fact, later this week, I'm actually going to be making a recipe called potatoes and wranglers. Now, I'm not really sure why they're called potatoes and wranglers. They just are. It's actually just home fried potatoes and sausage that's cooked with onions in a pan, and it tastes so good. It's just a really quick, easy meal, and it's especially easy if you already have your potatoes or your turnips or whatever veggie you're going to put in there prepped. So here it's time to do the onions. Now for the onions, I definitely don't have to blanch these. I just literally have to dice them up and get them put in the freezer and call it good on this. I get the most terrible headaches when I cut up onions for whatever reason. So I tend to try and keep diced onions cut up in my freezer. If I can talk my mom into it when she's down here, I usually buy like a ton of onions and have her dice them up for me so that I don't have to, but I had not done that recently, so I had to dice my own onions. So Mom, when you're watching this, come down. I need you to dice onions for me. Okay, we are finally back on track. As you can see, we are now making the banana chocolate chip muffins with walnuts in them. It was worth the wait, I promise you. So this is not my recipe, and I will have the recipe linked down in the description below, including what I do differently. For example, the original recipe does not call for walnuts. I love walnuts and bananas together. I think they just go together so well. And so anytime I make banana bread or banana muffins or anything with banana, I try and put walnuts in there. And so in this case, that's what I did. I grossly underestimated how many bananas I had, so I've gotten several bowls out. Here in a minute, you'll see me actually put it into my stand mixer, which is what I ultimately wind up using to make the banana muffins. If you do not have a stand mixer, oh my gosh, it would be harder to make these muffins in this quantity. I actually double the recipe because I make 24 muffins at a time and then throw them in the freezer, which I love because then I have quick breakfasts when I need them, or if I just want a quick snack or something like that. So here I'm just putting everything into the mixer. You'll see me here in a minute put in the flour, and when I put in the flour, I actually put in half the flour stir it in. I don't turn on my mixer yet. Then I put in the other half of the flour, stir it in. The reason I do this is because if you put the flour in and then turn on your mixer, you are going to take a flour bath. There will be flour all over your kitchen, and I just did not want to do that. So here I'm just stirring in that flour just to start getting it stirred in. If a little cinnamon is good, a lot of cinnamon is always better. At least that's my philosophy. So I do actually use a bit more cinnamon than the recipe calls for, but again, the recipe is perfectly wonderful as written. These are just some of the things that I do a bit differently. If you're enjoying this content, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It not only helps my channel, but it'll also allow you to be notified whenever I post new recipes, which is usually twice a week. I try to always post on Tuesdays and Fridays. If there's going to be a delay, I will definitely let you guys know. So one thing you're going to see me do here is put a tea towel over this mix. Now the reason I do that is because I actually need the dough to rest for about 20 minutes. You can even let it rest in the refrigerator, maybe overnight or something like that. That's totally fine. I've done that. The reason I do that is so that I get those nice big bakery style muffin tops on them. So while I let these muffins rest, I'm going to clean up my kitchen a bit so it's more manageable, because again, I'm trying to clean as I go. And by this point, I was so exhausted and I just wanted to sit down, but of course you know that did not happen.
Whenever you're lonely, just pick up the phone and call me. I'll be there. Girl, let me show you, you're my one and only.
By the way, if you don't already own one of these knives, oh my gosh, I love this knife. I actually got my first one from this brand last Christmas from my mother-in-law. She bought me the carving knife, and I am completely obsessed with this brand now. I'm slowly collecting them all. I probably washed this knife 5 different times on this day because I was using it for everything, because I had chopped up the turnips, I had chopped up the onions. That morning for breakfast I had chopped up some sausage. I chop everything with these knives. They're great. And what I'll do is, if you're interested, I will link the knife in the description below just so that you can take a look.
Give me hope and a way to cope, yeah. I'll be there. Ooh, I'll be there. And when I'm at home, I got no one to hold. Won't you tell me I'll be there?
And here I am just putting up that random bacon that I cooked because I don't actually know. I have no explanation for why I cooked bacon that day other than my brain said cook bacon, and for whatever reason I went, okay, I'm cooking bacon.
For your touch, won't you tell me I'll be there? Your loneliness kills me, but your loving, it thrills me. Won't you speak those words?
Now today in my muffin tins, I'm actually using parchment paper. If you are not going to be freezing these, you can definitely use your silicone muffin cups if you want, or however you normally make muffins. If you're going to freeze them for later use, I definitely recommend using the parchment paper muffins because they hold up better in the freezer than the regular muffin cups, the regular like foily muffin cups, and they reheat nicely. So you can pop them in the microwave, whereas with the foil ones, obviously you can't put those in the microwave. So my timer went off, so it was time to start putting these together and get them in the oven. And through the magic of video editing, I speed up this process because it actually takes a little bit, because you want to fill these muffin cups up almost to the top, because you want to get those nice tall peaks on the top of that muffin. Ooh, almost had a disaster there. I had one muffin cup slip and I thought it was going to dump into that pan, and I was not going to be a happy camper if that happened. So I finally got them all full, and I finally got them into the oven. And you would think that would be the end until they finished cooking, right? So very wrong. My brain said, hey, you know it'd be good for dinner? Chicken cordon bleu casserole. Let's dice up some ham. So I already had some rotisserie chicken thawing that I had deboned and put into the freezer a few weeks ago, and I was going to make something else with it, but you know, again, when the brain says do it, I don't always stop and think this is not a good thing to do. In this case it was. My husband and son love this casserole. In fact, it's rare that we have leftovers, and if we do have leftovers from this, they go really fast, like within just a couple of days. So here I am just chopping up the ham, and then I'm going to put the rotisserie chicken there in that 8x8 casserole dish to finish thawing a little bit faster. And since the muffins cook pretty quickly, they actually were done by the time I got the ham diced up, the chicken pulled apart. The chicken was still really frozen right there, so I was just kind of working to break it up a little bit. So my timer went off for my muffins, and I checked them, and they were perfectly done. Oh my gosh, they look so good. Even now looking at them, I'm like, I think I might go get one out of the freezer and let it start warming up. They are that good, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I could eat these probably every day if I let myself. I let them cool down just a little bit so that I could get them out of the muffin tin, but as you can see, I'm still, moving kind of fast. Well, I mean, the video sped up, but I was still moving pretty fast because those little things were a bit hot. And at this moment, my son decided that he had forgotten to do something, and so he laid his tablet right there next to me because he was playing a hide and seek game in Minecraft or something. I don't remember what he was doing. He's like, Mom, you've got to watch my tablet while I'm doing this. I'm like, okay, why not? Overall, this was a really fun day, and anytime I can get meal prep done, I am a happy camper. If you're new to my channel, this is not my usual layout, but I decided to show a struggle day and how it turned into a positive for my family. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to like and subscribe for more content.